Sylvie Allegud from Croatian television. I'd like to react to what Monsieur de Montbrial has just said. He spoke about global versus regional. I've heard also what Presidents Wade and Message have said, speaking about crises, and I think they know all about regional crises, sub-regional crises, and how to settle them. So my question is for all of the speakers here. We've been speaking about crises and the crisis also. And how can we handle these issues without the war, without market economy also? Yes, thank you. First of all, maybe the president from Mongolia, and then final conclusions in less than a minute from all of you.
Well, thank you for this question. Well, I think that democracy is also a set of standards. Democracy is about many political parties taking active part in political life. Democracy is about freedom of expression and freedom of press. Democracy is also about freedom of movement, freedom of association, NGOs, and all this sort of requirements are needed to meet the standard of democracy. On the other side, it's always difficult to have one standard of democracy for every country. That's why many countries try to find their own solution so that democracy brings development to the country. It started all the changes. In case of Mongolia, we try to follow, of course, international sort of examples, and I think quite successfully. At the same time, of course, people are waiting for democracy to give results in terms of fighting poverty, bringing development to the countryside, giving good chances to get better education, giving a chance to any individual to be a part of the social life, have a good job. So institutionally, I think Mongolia was successful in setting up democratic standards in Mongolia. At the same time, we are not have not been so successful in meeting the demands of an individual man or woman, especially when it comes to the question of finding a good job, finding good education, finding good channels to express his or her own ideas about how to handle things in the country in the most successful way. So democracy is, on the other side, is a learning process. It never ends. It's a process. It always goes down and up. So we think that with these institutions we have been quite successful, but now the second stage of the democratic changes is that we have to be able to answer specific questions put by an ordinary Mongolian man or woman. So this is the challenge we have to face and try to find the best answer so that he or she has got good job, good education, and good services provided by a government. Thank you.
Alors, d'avance, pardon de vous presser, Monsieur le Président Wade.
I'm sorry to rush you, gentlemen, but maybe President Wade, you could start. Can we maybe try and answer our Croatian colleagues' question? Well, on the issue of democracy, I think that we have a universal model that is spreading across the world. And we have to make sure that we succeed in rolling it out, whatever the difficulties. Now, democracy can take hold in Africa. Look at Senegal, for instance. We are a democracy, and we even had a political change in the political parties in government. Now, I think we have to recognize that there is only one model, democracy, full stop. Now, I think that the liberal approach is vital. We have to make sure that this liberal approach draws on the resources of individual people, the entrepreneurship, the freedom of initiative. And at a political level, I think the traditional freedoms, freedom of movement, freedom of thought, are vital for democracy. So I believe in these things. Now, you spoke about peace or war. I hope there will be no war, but it is just an idea, a hope that I have. Even though it seems that all sorts of people try to frighten each other off, the Russians and the Americans, for instance, and I hope that they will show wisdom and not embark on war. That isn't a solution. Present message. Democracy, market economy, war, peace, in less than a minute, maybe. Let me first of all say that no one is born a Democrat. We have to learn democracy. It's not because you're born in Switzerland that you would behave exactly in the same way were you to be born somewhere else. So we all have to learn democracy to find the best solutions, the best approaches. And this is always the result of coordination. Each country, every countries have to coordinate their work, and the solutions, as I said, must be the result of a democratic process and specific mechanisms. We have already said that mechanisms aiming at coordination have to be established. Let me mention, maybe more specifically, the fact that the world would be far better off if there weren't only one superpower that would be the global sheriff. We have to make sure that there are other large countries, great powers, who play their full role on the international scene. Russia, for instance. All of these countries have to have an opportunity to be involved in this global democratic coordination to settle crises and find the right solutions. Thank you, sir. And what about you, Mr. Robledo? How can you answer that question? Well, I think that whatever the economic progress of a number of countries, political change will bring about. Now, in Mexico, we had a one-party state for much longer than the Soviet Union, for instance, and all the same, we had political change and a switch to democracy. And indeed, democracy is the best system we found at the moment. It provides for a peaceful transfer of power and equal opportunities for all. This being said, we have to take into account the specificities of all our fellow citizens, and we have to make sure we handle transitions as best we can.